Hey, what's up everybody? I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. I'm Johnny with Aqua Biz, based out of the 818 San Fernando Valley, and in this video we're going to talk about the most common questions asked by people. One of the another mistake fish tank owners make is maybe not hire someone who has experience as far as plumbing, and I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that. So sometimes people who are not experienced in plumbing do things like this. As you can see, there's salt here, which is, this is called salt creep. Yeah. And for this here, you see how this is made? You see how they just kind of put a piece of PVC, they sprayed it? The best thing to do is get a 90 with a screw-on adapter, so they just screw on this little black arm instead of having this whole big piece here. But it works, but realistically, you know, one of the mistakes that people do is not hire somebody who has experience plumbing and just avoid these long pieces. There's nothing wrong with it, it works, but you know, simple is easy to me always. Simple is very easy. Another mistake is, and I'm very picky when it comes to this, and this is why we're here. You see all the wires? This is the way it was put together. So if something happened and let's say someone said, hey man, you know, how do I turn on my protein skimmer? How do I turn off my heater? How do I turn off my pump? Well, we don't know what we're seeing. We don't even know what we're connecting. And this doesn't help at all. I mean, I like to label things. I like to make sure I zip tie. I like to make sure that everything is working accordingly and properly, and that we're able to see visually. See, like right here, I don't even know what I'm connecting. I just kind of had to figure it out. But that's one of the mistakes that people make. You want to make sure, if you have a fish tank at home, you want to make sure you put labels. If it's a protein skimmer, label it. If it's a heater, label it. If it's an air pump, label it. If it's a pump, label it. If it's lighting, label it. Everything that you do, my biggest recommendation for you fish keepers out there is you make sure you label things, you zip tie them, you tie them and make it look neatly. You see, you wouldn't want to go under an engine and have all these parts, the wires. No, they make it look nice and tight, nice and clean. So if you have a fish tank at home, make sure you know what you're doing. So if you have someone who has no experience in fish tanks or anything, you can tell them, hey, unplug the heater. It's labeled, it says heater. They'll find it, they'll unplug it, done deal. Another thing that I would recommend you fish keepers out there is to always have extra water, extra salt water, extra fresh water. We provide extra water for our customers. Like this here is 5 gallons of RODI water, and we see right now he's low, so we're gonna stop by next week, drop off some water for him. So when the reservoir tank, which is actually the sump, the filtration system, evaporates and it gets low, the pump doesn't suck air or it doesn't heat up because it's low and it burns out. So we're able to provide him water. Please, if you have a fish tank out there, do not let your water level go down, especially if there's a heater in the sump. You'll burn the plastic, you'll burn the filtration, you'll burn anything that is near the heater, because the heater will actually heat up and it'll drop the water level faster. So you want to make sure that you always have extra water at home, extra salt water, extra fresh water. If there's an emergency, no fish stores are open, you want to make sure that you have it in hand. You want to make sure you do a water change. You want to make sure that you have it ready to rock and roll if there's an emergency.
So Johnny, any other mistakes that you see fish tank owners make?
One of the biggest ones I would probably say is when fish tank owners add water from the faucet or from the water hose and it's fresh water and they forget to add water conditioner. Water conditioner is very important when adding into a fish tank, especially because depending on where you live, the chlorine levels might be high. Some places it's very low, but they definitely don't add the water conditioner and it causes the fish to stress out, and that's why sometimes they die. Another mistake I've seen is sometimes fish keepers don't add heaters. There's a difference in fresh water and tropical water. One of the differences is that tropical water tends to be a little bit warmer than fresh water. Fresh water would include like goldfish, fancy goldfish, red caparondas, telescope goldfish, black moors, koi fish. Those are actually fresh water that can be kept outside, outdoors, and even if it gets cold, very cold, those fish will live. Tropical fish cannot live under cold, very cold weather and conditions. So tropical fish, for the most part, requires a heater, and if you have a heater, you have to set it anywhere from 78 to 82 degrees, depending on what part of the world's from. But that's one of the biggest mistakes that people don't do. And if you decide to buy a fish tank, or you decide to buy a fish, please be sure to ask questions. I always would ask questions as far as where this fish is from, what does it eat, is it tank raised, is it wild. Just make sure you ask questions every single time you buy a fish.
What about the lighting the aquarium? How long should they leave the lights on? Should they turn them off?
For the most part, I would recommend if it's at home and it gets direct sunlight, you can run anywhere from 6 to 4 hours a day if it gets sunlight. And if it doesn't get sunlight, I would recommend anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day. 8 being max, 10 is extensively a lot, but for the most part, you want to make sure that they get enough lighting. Depending on what kind of lighting they have, it's gonna build up some algae in the fish tank. So just please be aware that if you do run your lights from anywhere to 10 to 8 hours a day, it will build up algae. The fish tank in my office runs about 10 hours, and it builds algae. I clean it here and there whenever I'm there, whenever I'm available, and I see that it's starting to build up, I make sure I algae scrub it. But yeah, I would recommend, if you're a beginner and if you don't know how long to run your lights for, be sure to run your lights anywhere from 6 to 8 hours max, especially if you're just new to the hobby. There you guys have it. These were the most common questions asked by our customers. If you have any questions or concerns, please be sure to drop them on the comments below. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us grow our channel. And if you have any questions of any of the products that we use on any of our videos, please be sure to check the description down below. Until next time, guys.